Hello, how are you today? Can you hear that knock, knock, knock in the background? Oh, it stopped just as I was asking you that question. Well, where we are, we've got a neighbor who's obviously doing some repair work in their vicinity. But as I was sitting over here and I was working, I realized that the knocking was getting just too much for me to deal with. And I started observing my reactions to that knocking. At first, I tried to drown it out. Then, when it persisted, I actually plugged in my ears, some music in my ears. It persisted some more, and I said, okay, never mind. Let me push my barriers down. Let me not, create a thing of this in my head. But the more it got persistent, the more my mood kept changing from ambivalence to now beginning to feel very encroached upon and very disrespected because, hey, I'm working here. Do you not know that? Completely missing out on the fact that the other individual is also working. So, I'm going to talk to you about that today. My name is Bhuchar. I'm a leadership transformation coach, and my work revolves around the use of self and a high dosage of emotional intelligence. So, coming back to the conversation of how I was feeling, I think just being an emotional intelligence practitioner and coach kind of helps me to be a little more aware of my own emotional responses. And I was able to actually pay attention to, focus on, and see that entire shift of my emotions that was happening. And then I became present to this really, really loud conversation in my head vis a vis this particular incident, that you don't really care about other people, but underneath you don't really care about other people was, am I not important enough? Is my time not important enough for you to not do this while I'm in the middle of my workday? What kind of internal conversations do you have that create an external shift for you? The shift, of course, starts with, and there's a thought, there's an incident that triggers off a thought, that thought then triggers off a feeling, that feeling then starts to manifest itself physically in terms of, especially if you're angry, for example. Some people say that they start shaking, some people start trembling, some people's voice starts to get constricted, and this is how they speak, and their voices tend to go loud, their ears tend to go red, and so on and so forth. So, when the thought occurs because of an incident that happened, and that thought grows larger in your head, it then goes ahead and creates a certain set of emotions, or brings up or brings forth a certain set of emotions for you, which then manifest themselves in a physical fashion within your body. And then you take the action of either going and speaking to somebody, or yelling at somebody, or ignoring, or whatever it is that the action that you take. In my case, but when I started observing this, I said, okay, quickly let me make a video rather than going and screaming at these other people and saying, hey, can you please be a little more respectful of my time and of the fact that I'm working, and the fact that there could be other people also who are working in the vicinity, and so on. How can you become aware of these things, of your own emotions? This is a very, very old emotional intelligence trick. Start observing yourself in a variety of different situations. Look at what the triggers are in a particular situation. It could be somebody raising their eyebrow while talking at you. It could be somebody's voice changing from a regular voice to kind of like this. It could be the voice going lower, higher, left ways, right ways, whichever ways. It could be somebody putting down a glass of water really, really hard after having a conversation with you, or banging the door when they left the room after speaking to you. Anything. Observe what your triggers are and make a journal for that. Write down in that journal, what was the trigger today? What was the thought that got triggered off in my head? What emotion came up after that thought? How did it manifest itself bodily? Like, what did I feel in my body? Did I feel myself shaking? Did my palms start to sweat? Did my ears start to go hot? Did my eyes become bigger? Did my voice start wavering, and so on and so forth? Write that down, and then write down what was the external behavior in another person's world that showed up because of these thoughts. As you maintain this journal, you will start seeing a pattern emerge of what are your triggers and what happens to you physically when those triggers or those similar triggers are set off. That's what can possibly help you also start to manage your responses in any given situation. Like I came and started making this video instead of going and confronting the neighbors. You will also be able to start managing your own emotional responses slash reactions such that you are left in a state of being empowered and not left in a state of having gone and taken an action which may appear or land in another person's world as aggressive. And you will be able to continue to maintain your good relationships with another individual. So, what will you do to start writing that journal, which is also these days a very tough habit given the fact that we are used to putting everything in our phones or our laptops or our iPads and so on? Please be encouraged to maintain a journal in which you write with a pencil or a pen or a color pen or a color crayon, whatever catches your fancy, but actually do the act of writing. There are a lot of great journals. In fact, I'm coming up with one. Go get yourself a journal in which you can actually write down what it is that you observed. There is a connection between the brain writing and long-term memory, and therefore actually also being able to take action that happens when you sit down to write. So what will it take for you to overcome the uh, complacency of writing, and what will it take for you to start becoming aware of your own emotional responses, of the conversation that triggers of those responses, your physical reactions, and therefore your external reactions and actions with the world outside? What will it take, and what can you do to be a little more emotionally intelligent today? Remember, questions empower. Ask the right ones.